Tomorrow morning, your alarm is going to go off. You'll reach for your phone, you'll scroll through something you don't really care about before you've even gotten out of bed, and you'll call that a morning. But here's what's strange. That alarm, that phone, that ceiling above your head, blocking out the sky, none of that existed for 99.9% of human history. For over 300,000 years, every single one of your ancestors woke up the same way. Not to a sound they chose, not in a room with controlled temperature, not alone. They woke up to the world. And what happened in those first hours of the day shaped everything. Their health, their relationships, their ability to survive. Scientists are only now starting to understand what we gave up when we stopped waking up like they did. The answer might change the way you think about mornings forever. Let's start with how they actually woke up, because it wasn't like you think. In 2015, a team of researchers from UCLA sent wristwatch-sized devices into the field with anthropologists studying 3 of the last hunter-gatherer groups on Earth: the Hadza of Tanzania, the Tsimane of Bolivia, the San of the Kalahari Desert, groups still living something close to the original human lifestyle. What they found surprised everybody. These people did not wake up with the sunrise. They woke up before it. Consistently across all 3 groups, in different countries, different climates, different seasons, people were already awake and moving before the sun cleared the horizon. The Tsimane were waking up more than an hour before dawn, not because they set an alarm, not because a boss expected them somewhere, because something inside them pulled them out of sleep at the same moment every single morning. And the researchers figured out what that something was. Temperature. All night long, the temperature falls, slowly, steadily, reaching its lowest point in the hours just before sunrise. And your body tracks that temperature the entire time you sleep. When it hits its lowest point, your brain interprets it as a signal. Cortisol, the hormone that primes you for alertness, starts rising in your bloodstream about 30 minutes before you even open your eyes. Scientists call this the cortisol awakening response. By the time your ancestors opened their eyes, they were already biochemically ready to move. Alert, sharp, physically primed, no coffee required. That's what a natural wake-up looks like. Most of us have never experienced it. But what did they actually do when they woke up? This is where it gets interesting. The very first thing wasn't food. It wasn't planning. It wasn't work. It was each other. Anthropologist Herman Poncer, who spent years living alongside the Hadza, documented what those first hours looked like. When they woke in their grass huts on the savannah, they didn't immediately separate and get busy. They milled about. People gathered near the remains of the night's fire. They talked. They sat together. They figured out the day's plans slowly, communally, without urgency. It looked to modern eyes almost like wasting time. It wasn't. What was happening in those quiet minutes was social bonding, the invisible glue that held the group together. Robin Dunbar, an anthropologist at Oxford, spent decades studying how humans bond. He found that before language, our ancestors bonded the way all primates do, through physical grooming, touching, close contact. That kind of grooming triggers the brain's endorphin system, the same system involved in pain relief, trust, and deep social connection. But as human groups grew larger, there wasn't enough time in the day to physically groom everyone you needed to stay connected to. Language took over. Relaxed, low-stakes morning conversation became the human version of grooming, before the pressure of the day set in, before anyone was hungry or tired or frustrated. In that cool, still window before full sunrise, the group reconnected, and then came the light. This is the part scientists did not expect. All 3 hunter-gatherer groups showed the same pattern. Their maximum sunlight exposure wasn't at midday, it was in the morning. Right after waking, they were outside, facing east, moving through open air in the early light. And that morning light was doing something inside them that no one had fully appreciated until recently. When sunlight hits the retina in the first hour after waking, it sends a signal to the brain's master clock. That signal sharpens the cortisol spike already rising in your body. It triggers serotonin, the neurochemical tied to mood, focus, and emotional stability. And here's is the part that connects directly to your sleep tonight. That morning light exposure sets the timer for melatonin release later in the day. Get bright light early, and your body produces melatonin at the right time in the evening, making it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep. Skip the morning light, stay indoors, look at a screen, and that timer gets pushed back. Your melatonin comes late. You lie awake. You wake exhausted. You reach for coffee, and the cycle continues. Your ancestors broke that cycle every single morning without thinking about it. They just walked outside. Now here is what the men did next. The Hadza men hunted at dawn, not at midday, not in the evening, at dawn. Pairs of hunters moved out into the savannah in the first light before the heat built and the animals retreated into shade. They moved quietly, reading tracks, reading the wind, but they were practicing the most cognitively demanding skill a human being can perform. Tracking, to follow an animal across dry ground by reading disturbed soil, bent grass, in the direction of dust. You have to hold a complete mental model of another creature's mind in your head. Where did it go? Why did it turn here? What did it smell? What was it afraid of? Anthropologists have argued that tracking is one of the earliest forms of what we now call theory of mind. The ability to imagine what another being is thinking and feeling. The ability that eventually gave us empathy and storytelling. And eventually, civilization itself. It started before breakfast, in the cool, quiet hours just after dawn. Meanwhile, the women gathered. They left camp in small groups, moving through the landscape with digging sticks and woven baskets. But those morning gathering trips were also a moving classroom. Older women passed knowledge to younger ones, which plants were safe, which roots were ripe, how to read the soil for moisture, where to look after rain, which berries were ready in which season. Not in a formal lesson, not in a classroom, just two people walking together in the early morning light, one watching, one explaining, one learning by doing. For hundreds of thousands of years, that was how almost everything important was passed between generations. Not in writing, not in school, in the morning while doing the work. And here's the thing nobody talks about. Every ancient culture on Earth treated dawn as sacred. Not metaphorically, literally. The Lakota of the Great Plains performed a dawn greeting ceremony at first light, prayers offered to the rising sun as a daily act of reconnection. Aztec priests rose before sunrise to burn incense and greet Tonatiuh, the sun deity, before anyone else was awake. In ancient Egypt, temples were oriented to catch the first rays of sunrise. The first light wasn't just daybreak, it was understood as an act of creation. The world being remade. Every morning, the Yolngu people of Australia held ceremonies that ran through the entire night, reaching their peak at the precise moment before first light. These are not coincidences. Cultures on every continent, with no contact with each other, arrived at the same conclusion. Dawn is different. Something happens at dawn that doesn't happen at any other time of day. And they were right. Scientists now have a name for the mental state of those early morning hours. The hypnopompic state, the transitional consciousness between sleep and full waking. In that window, before the busy, distracted mind fully activates, your brain is measurably different, more creative, more emotionally open, more capable of genuine insight. Cortisol is elevated but not stress spiked, giving you sharpness without anxiety. Serotonin is rising, providing calm, steady focus. Your ancestors built their entire mornings around this state. They hunted during it. They taught their children during it. They held ceremonies in it. We set an alarm through it and check Instagram. Researchers found that people who spend just 1 week camping with no artificial light have their body clocks almost completely reset. Their melatonin begins rising at sunset. They fall asleep naturally. They wake before sunrise feeling genuinely rested. 1 week. That's all it takes for 300,000 years of programming to reassert itself. The Hadza have no word for bad sleep. They don't have a word for it because they almost never experience it. They wake before the sun. They go outside. They talk to the people they love. They move through the early light. And then, only then, they get on with the day. That is what your ancestors did at dawn. Not one culture, not one region, all of them. And some part of you, buried under alarm clocks and bright screens and breakfast meetings, still remembers how it felt. Modern humans wake up inside, to an artificial sound, to a screen. We skip the morning light. We skip the social reconnection. We skip the movement through cool open air. And then we wonder why we're exhausted before lunch.